Hi, it's me again. Lots of stuff going on in the garden. So I'm gonna do a little cruising around and we'll check it out together. Some lettuce going to seed. Lettuce volunteers popping up. Bear girl, filthy, into everything. Like having a toddler, I'll tell you. And nice weather. I'm barefoot. I'm going to be out in the garden today. I'm late. I want to get the peas and some things in. Tea plants, tea bushes, outdoors made it. Lychee, tomato, surprisingly still carrying some green. And lots of flowering happening on arugula and some other stuff. Radish hanging tough. I'm going to let all this go for seed, see how it turns out for the next generation. If it's not good, I'll just use it for sprouting seeds. And the endive and the lettuce in the pots down here on the ground are doing exceptionally well. Dotted mint didn't even die back. It's still green. Lemon balm just going crazy. Love to see that. And this is one of the things that I really wanted to show you. We had honeybees even last month. And so these are going to be viable. And I have a lot of the broccoli rub. So I'll just probably package it, even though some of these specimens are really nice. I'll probably package it as sprouting seed. But there's the pods starting. We've been eating the Romanesco. And when you cut the center head, then you'll get sometimes like growth from around the outside. And here's a really good example of that. The center was cut out, and so I could use all of these for sprouting seeds. And here's a lovely Romanesco. All of the shrubbery that I cut back is coming back. And some straggler little red rib Swiss chard is in there. Parsley is superb. And this is a tiny specimen of the dinosaur kale. This is one of my favorite kales. It's got a great flavor compared to a lot. And that's got its seed head on it. And all of these guys in here are all volunteer lettuces. Because the pots were there, if you remember, by the pond. We're starting to see some growth on the Florence fennel. And look at that, even between the rocks. I've always said that, life just wants to happen. Sometimes when it's not even in the best of places and has really good conditions, it still wants to happen. And the lettuce in that was the bell pepper bed. I seriously don't think these guys are going to come back. But I've got that Ampius indoors, and I'm going to start doing the sowing indoors in the seed collection and getting the test seeds out to some people that have requested them, and I'm going to pick what I'm going to do. All right, so there's some endive and some beautiful green strawberries on the ground taking root. Now, I totally blanked on having some crazy potatoes in this, and they got run over with a lawnmower and all of that. So we'll see what happens there. And there's some mint, and that's where all the wildflowers had been. So I'll just run that over with a lawnmower and add water, and they'll be back, some of the wildflowers. Oh, this is a big surprise. This is the blue better sage, and that's looking really good. Swiss chard is gorgeous, and I told you it would be. All the leaves that took a beating in the summer died back. Then, it got a reprieve. So now this is prime time for it. We've got cool weather, and we've been getting some rain. And there's lots of endive all throughout, everywhere. And this is a French rare variety, and I'm not even going to butcher it. It's DE and then capital MEAUX. So if I have any French people, maybe you could school me on the correct pronunciation of that. And here's some of the dinosaur kale. Took a big beating in the summer, but there it is. Lots of seed heads still left on the marigold, and there'll be volunteers all over from that too. Okay, let's go up. Let's go out back. The ginger root, I only dug up part of it. Horseradish only. No, I didn't even dig any horseradish, so I don't know what's going to happen there. Here's volunteer lettuce and the gorgeous strawberry patch. It's very crazy because last month I had already started to see blossoms, and of course they weren't going to do anything because of, you know, we're doing huge swings between 70s, mostly in the high 60s on good days, to freezing temperatures. Gorgeous blossoms on one of the broccoli rod. I ate all that patch. Same thing here. Seed heads still here. I'll hit it with a weed whacker or a lawnmower and water, and voila. I most likely will never have to plant, if I stay here, we'll never have to plant anything in the wildflower beds. That should be plenty of seed that I left there, that it'll just keep self-sowing. And then, of course, I'm not in control of it, so they'll be popping up all over in the garden. And no sprouts on the mishap on the potatoes. The blackberry plants that I transplanted do have green, and they're rooted nicely. So the wild blackberries are all over the property. There's some cress. And the Egyptian onions died back, but now they're coming up. I don't know what's going to happen with the pineapple. It'll be really interesting to see if these guys can recover, and they just may, because look, I mean, these plants are still green and rooted. Sorry about the quick camera work. I hope you guys are well. I have so much going on and so much to share about over the holiday fast and the trip to Florida for the For Uganda fundraiser. Very exciting that I had been invited to Uganda to teach next February, teach art and gardening. So I donated the masks and I donated the seed care package. But the big news had been that I had met the director, the current director of Jane Goodall's Institute, and she was the one that was taking the seed care package back instead of them being mailed. So I had lunch with her and a whole bunch of the founder of For Uganda, and a whole bunch of other delightful people that are helping that project. All right, this was the spinach patch, and it still is the spinach patch. The critters, if you could remember, they did a number and nibbled it down. And there they are. They're all over the place, starting to come back with the nicer weather. Huge, huge surprise. I would have never expected this. All this other green in here, see, there's the spinach, but all this other green in here, that's the tobacco. Never, ever would I have imagined that the tobacco would make it through as cold as it got. There we have arugula everywhere, and some endive. And these are the dainty arugula flowers. Oh, the lettuce in the pots. I think this was the rare arrowhead lettuce. So that did nicely out here. It wasn't watered, wasn't attended in any way. And I suspect that this lettuce isn't going to do anything. The days are going to start getting longer, and even though they're itty bitty, they're going to want to bolt and push seed, and that won't be good for anything. You have to take your your share of disappointments when you're doing this. And somehow or another, some kale came back after the assault by the critters. So I'll get to see what happens there. And the collards, they look like crap, but we got lots of new growth in there. So we'll see how that turns out. I don't know about collard sprouting seeds, but heck, I'm willing to give it a try. And this is the onion patch, and I'm going to start seeing lots of growth on that, hopefully. And back here, I was out here just quickly the other day to grab some arugula, and the lemon balm back here, spectacular. I always like going deeper into the same property season after season, and then you get all these volunteers just happening everywhere, and then it starts to get like permaculture. This is a row of all of the wild blackberries, and these were the best tasting blackberries, and I really don't know what was why there was such a huge difference between the patches that I had been harvesting from. So I noticed that it was heavy on the rock. So I went ahead and tried to mimic the same exact growing conditions from where I dug them up. So I'll see how they taste and see if I nailed it with the rocks that they were growing it in. Well, just growing wild. But here's the leek bed. And leeks are very slow growing, and they're just, the tiny little, they look like grass right now. Slow growing. And I should move them because they're just getting way too much sun here in South Carolina. You could plant leek and partial shade here, and it'll do a lot better. Egyptian walking onions. These look a lot better than the ones in what I had dubbed the nursery garden. I'm hoping that the giant Cape gooseberry come back. That's these stems here. If it's mild enough, they're perennial. So we'll see how that comes along. And I have a feeling that in a couple areas in the garden, I'm going to be getting an incredible amount of ground cherry volunteers with all of the fruit that had fallen. All right, you see the endive in here? Endive everywhere. And here's some cress. Looks like weeds. It's awesome. And there's Bear following me around. Hi, pretty girl. She's was fiercely independent before Samson, and now that she got used to his constant companionship, she's like Velcro, the Velcro dog with me. Okay, I'm gonna get back to work. I'm still working on this portrait project with a lot of other projects, and trying to keep the juggling act going, all the balls in the air without fumbling. So I hope you're doing great and getting excited about this coming growing season. And regardless of where I'm at and what I'm doing, you should know by now I'm going to have something going, even if it's just a small garden in the pots. So I will sign off by saying thank you for your support. You guys have been absolutely great in being kind to me and always respectful, and I really do appreciate that. All right, signing off for now. I'll talk to you later. Arrivederci.